So my name is Hannah Swift. I'm the information officer at the White Rock Lake Wildfire. Having a bit of feedback from my mic here. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. So Scott can't make the call today. He's quite busy. As many of you are aware by now, we were expecting some forecasted 25-km/h sustained southwesterly winds on site today. Those were going to be gusting upwards of 40 km/h, and those were forecast to begin as early as noon today. So as a result of those forecasted winds, the BC Wildfire did recommend a number of upgrades and expansions of existing evacuation alert and order areas to many impacted local governing authorities that are affected by this wildfire. So at this time, we did see those winds pick up as early as 11:30 this morning. So as a result, the most up-to-date information at this point is that with those winds that we were seeing, there was very heavy smoke, and it was impacting Highway 97. That was just north of Monty Lake and then east of Falkland. So due to that immediate danger to our responder safety and to the public, we did expedite the closure of Highway 97 in that area. So that's between Salmon River Road and Barnhartvale Road. So just about 16 kilometers east of Falkland and 11 kilometers east of Monty Creek. So that closure is in place. And again, that's for our first responder and for the safety of the public. So we are seeing those southwest winds coming through. And so as expected, those are challenging our containment efforts along the northeast and eastern flank. We do have extreme burning conditions, and those are expected to carry on through the weekend. We did have rain 72 hours ago, and the effects from that is gone by now. We are seeing temperatures in the low 30s, very, very low relative humidities in the low 20s, as well as those elevated winds, which is really just drying out those fuels and increasing the fire behavior that we're seeing on site. So as always, our top priority does remain human life and safety. And we do really want to urge the public to maintain a heightened awareness of the evolving situation, especially over this next 48 hours as things are changing quickly. You know that Highway 97 was kept open, and that was to expedite those evacuation orders, but it's not safe to be in there, so we've obviously closed there. So as things change, we just really want the public and all the impacted communities to really stay vigilant on what's going on in the situation and react accordingly. So on site today, we have 136 firefighters. This includes the 99 firefighters from Quebec who have been assisting us for 2 weeks now, so we really appreciate their support. We also have 10 danger tree assessors and fallers, as well as 13 helicopters, and that includes 3 heavy lift helicopters, 43 pieces of heavy equipment, as well as our incident management team who's been managing this incident for almost 2 weeks now. So over the past 72 hours, we've been really ramping up the structure protection branch on the White Rock Lake Wildfire. So right now, our structure protection branch consists of 125 structure protection personnel, and that's from over 25 different fire departments. So again, we're getting support from all corners of the province there, and we really appreciate that. So we do have some split shifts there for the fire department personnel. So that is a 24-hour operation, and so there's coverage on for structure protection at all hours of the day. We've also added 4 pieces of heavy equipment to that structure protection branch. And those are mobile pieces of heavy equipment so that we can activate them and move them around as required if communities are affected by the fire growth that we see over the next 48 hours. As well, in that contingency, there's 6 structure protection trailers, as well as 17 engines, 5 mass water delivery systems, and 14 water tenders. And so they are doing roving patrols with those 17 engines, and will react accordingly if required. So our structure protection personnel have completed a full assessment from Monty Lake through the Falkland corridor via Highway 97, as well as along West Side Road. And they are prepared to defend the communities as they may be affected over the coming 48 hours. So those 13 helicopters that we have assigned over the last 48 hours, they've been able to work. We had a bit of a reprieve from the smoke. So that's been positive to our suppression efforts. Again, those helicopters, they don't put out the fire, but they're going to slow that spread enough for us to be able to get heavy machinery and ground personnel in and push in some really crucial control lines to help stop the spread. So those 13 helicopters, as I said, 3 of them are the heavy lift helicopters. They're predominantly working along the northeast and east flank, again, just to slow the spread and support our ground crews. We have crews working in the southwest and northwest flanks where it's safe to do so with the winds that we're seeing. The southwest, we're really trying to progress as much as we can in that area of the fire to really anchor in. And once we do that, our crews can safely start flanking, pushing east along the southern flank, and then also pushing north and northeast along that flank as well. So tying in that corner is really crucial to being able to successfully flank and fight this fire. A number of evacuations are in place and remain in place. They impact the TNRD, as people on this call are aware, but they also affect the Columbia-Shuswap Regional District, the Regional District of North Okanagan, the Okanagan Indian Band, and the Regional District of Central Okanagan. So again, just a reminder to the public to really keep on top of the evolving situation and reach out to your regional district for the most up-to-date information on those evacuation orders and alerts. And I'll stop there for White Rock Lake, and I'll be around for questions.
Can you hear me now? Great. Thank you so much for improvising and for the update on White Rock Lake. Next, we have, is Ken or Luke on the line for the Tremont wildfire?
Yes, you got Luke on the line.
Awesome.
Sorry, my video is not working on the laptop, so you have to just bear with my voice. So update on, I'll start on the Sparks Lake fire to the northwest of Kamloops, so I'm still getting my bearings. So that has joined in the last couple of days to the Young Lake fire in the Caribou Fire Centre area, and both fire centres and IMTs are working together to work out a joint containment line in the east towards, I think it's Bonaparte Lake. The fire up in the northern side of the Sparks is slowly progressing. We luckily haven't seen any major progress in the last couple of days since the rain, but it is progressing slightly on the northeast and northwestern sides, but with very little progress down the flanks on the east and west. We have a decent containment and we're currently mopping up in the south, southeast and southwest, and have been slowly trying to get residents and communities back into their homes, with the orders lifting or going back to alert for the Skeecherson, Indian Band, and the TNRD area up to Circle W Ranch yesterday morning. We're also continuing to build machine guards along the western and eastern side to protect the areas of High Hume Lake and the Bonaparte Provincial Park. And again, we're aiming to join in with the Young Lake fire equipment branch to build guards together there. Yesterday and today, we've done some internal reconnaissance of the Deadman Vidette Road and the, can't remember the name of the road on the right-hand side, but the one that goes through Chris Creek. So again, still letting my bearings, not local. To try and get communities back into those areas to assess any damage and to try and restore some level of normality for them. So we're aiming to have a review of our orders through that area by the end of this week. For the Tremont Fire, we all probably saw the lovely plume of smoke going up on Tuesday. That was the fires in the Tunqua Provincial Park on the eastern side, and took a run to the north and northeast in very heavy fuel loads with a lot of heat, low humidity, and just enough wind to push it along. There was no planned ignitions in that part of the fire on that day. It was just fuel finding, and found the fuel and went. We have done some planned ignitions in the south and southwest to protect and strengthen our containment lines around the Glossy Mountain area and on Tuesday, and they proved very successful, and we've got those containment lines in at this point in time. Today in the east, we're looking at the fires approximately 500 metres from the Tunqua Lake on the western side, and we've got machine guards in place and finishing being built today, with the plan to keep the fire where we can on the western side of Tunqua Lake, and then aim to look at containment to the northeast once we gain containment on the eastern flank there, or eastern front. Structural protection is in place in Tranquille Lake and surrounding areas, and we've also got evacuation alert and order trigger lines on maps. So if we need to elevate any alerts to orders or add any alerts into the future, we'll have triggers and we'll be able to very quickly respond and recommend to the TNRD and associated communities for those. We've got a few Type 1 crews working, all of our Type 1 crews, are working on the Tremont Fire at this point in time, all the unit crews. And we've also got 100 personnel working on the Tremont Fire and about 80 personnel working on the Sparks Lake Fire at this point in timing. Structural protection, again, is in place through both fires at this point in time. That's it from me for now.
Thanks so much. I'm going to pass it on to the Litton Complex. Do we have John or Alexandra or Greg on?
Hello. Yes, this is John Stacer here. Sounds like you can hear me. I'm the information officer for the Litton Complex fires. Unfortunately, Greg, our incident commander, is in another meeting right now, but for another call in the future, I'll hope to have him on as well, and get him familiar with this group. So thank you for having me. So as I'm sure you're all aware, the Litton Complex includes Fire 1030, the McKay Creek, the 1086, the Litton Creek, 804, the George Road Fire, and also the, still working on pronunciations here, the Mohawken Creek Fire, which is based in the Coastal Fire Center. However, it's part of this complex. So our incident management team has just taken over command of this fire, and the outgoing team has left us in good stead. So we're going to continue with their priorities of life safety and protection of structures and infrastructure as the top priorities, and crew safety. So our command staff, our operations section, and the planning section has been out and getting familiar with the fire and setting up some objectives. So I guess I'll start with Fire 1030. We've seen some activity in a couple spots on 1030 right now. The two areas that seems to be active are in the Apple Springs Creek area, which is in the southwest of the fire. And also in the Pavilion area along Lee Creek. The fire's been backing downhill a little bit. So we've had helicopters bucketing in that area this afternoon. And we'll continue to assess that area, the Lee Creek area. And we also are monitoring very closely the Apple Springs Creek area around Highway 12. The fire activity in that area has not yet reached our trigger lines that are on the map, but we will keep those under close watch. Down on Fire 1086 on the Litton Creek, we've been attempting to do some ignition operations, but conditions have not been favorable for those during the day, and so we're looking to do that work in the evening and into the night. We still have to connect with crews working on that portion. and our operations are getting eyes in that area. However, we have been also closely looking at some of the other hotspots that we've got going on, kind of in the Botany Mountain area. And that area also has not reached trigger points yet, so those areas are in evacuation alert, but not order. Sorry, I just forgot one point too. I'll just jump back up to Fire 1030, McKay Creek. Evacuation area was put into an evacuation order on that fire yesterday in the Squamish Lillooet Regional District. So that information is available on their website. Then further south of the Litton Fire, we've seen activity on the George Road fire up on the ridge, kind of in the southeast portion of that fire. It has previously burned, however, there's still underburned fuel in the area as well. And so we have 2 heavy helicopters in that area providing aerial suppression as well. And we're seeing some activity on the Victor fire at this time as well, and we'll be getting a closer look at that later today. On the Litton Creek fire, currently have 74 firefighters, 34 pieces of heavy equipment working on guards, and structural protection assessments that are ongoing throughout the entire complex. So we're doing structural protection assessments both in the Pavilion Lee Creek area, the Apple Springs area, and we'll have some assessments going on further south near the Scuppa First Nation area. So I think that's the update for now. But as we get situated, I'll continue to keep this group updated as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And now we want to pass it over to the Kamloops Fire Center. I believe Shay Lee, do we have you on the line here?
Yeah, hi. My camera is also not working, so it's just audio for me as well. But within the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, the Kamloops Fire Center is responding to the July mountain wildfire. The fire is still estimated at 2,000 hectares. A few days ago, we saw growth on the northeast side of the fire, and it was actioned with air support. That continues to be the case as well today. There's still support on the north side of the fire. And we're working with heavy machinery to put lines in, control lines in for the fire. Other than that, the Highway 5 is still not threatened at this time, but recommended for people to keep an eye on Drive BC for any other updates on that. That's all the updates for that fire, and for the Kamloops Fire Center in general. Just a reminder, we did see some precipitation over the weekend, which did help lessen fire activity, but with the dry temperatures, it wasn't enough to significantly impact the fires that we have in our region. So it's a good reminder for people to be vigilant and aware of the heightened fire activity. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Is there any other questions for BC Wildfire before we let them go here? I see a hand up from BC Wildfire. Is that?
That's Luke. I just saw a message in the comments just asking about the Embleton Mountain Fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that is part of the Sparks Lake complex, and I should have updated. So it's currently listed as being held. It's well within containment lines now, and it's fully burnt out. We did find a smoking tree near the edge yesterday, and the Kamloops Fire Centre IA team responded to it and assisted us last night. So at this point in time, we are reviewing that and looking at probably moving it to under control and then followed by out in the coming days.
Perfect, thank you. And if there's any questions, any other questions for BC Wildfire before we let them go, can you please put them in the chat?
Not a question, but just BC
Okay.
Wildfire Service here. Are you still looking for updates from the Caribou Fire Center as well? Because you've got the
please.
Flat Lake Fire and the Caribou Fire Center on the line here too.
Yes, please continue with your update. That'd be great.
I'm just gonna lower my hand real quick. There we go. I'm Nicole. I'm the Fire Information Officer assigned to the Northeast Complex based out of 100 Mile here. I think from the TNRD's perspective, the Flat Lake Wildfire is the one most of interest. So today we have 100 firefighters out there with 34 pieces of heavy equipment. There's 10 structure protection personnel assigned to the incident as well that have been working in various communities throughout the area. And we've got 15 helicopters working for the complex as well. The original plan for today had been to conduct some planned ignitions on the southwest corner, following up on the previous 2 sets of planned ignitions that we've done over the last few days here, weather dependent. They did not go ahead this morning and they've been postponed for the interim. We are seeing more activity today on the northwest flank of the fire, and so it's been a little bit more active over there. So that's where we've been focusing most of our efforts today. We still have personnel patrolling along the east flank. Last night, there was a partial aerial scan done to look for hotspots kind of along that Highway 97 corridor there between sort of the Evergreen community south down to the 70 Mile area. So that's kind of the major updates for the fire today, but there's a little bit more that I was hoping to talk about. We've posted on social media a little bit over the last few days about people putting out rumors and sharing misinformation. And there's a couple of things that have been circulating in the area in regards to this fire that are really important, I think, to kind of fact check here. 100 Mile House is not on evacuation order, nor has it been. It still remains under evacuation alert. If something were to change, that messaging would be coming from the Caribou Regional District and the BC Wildfire Service and the District of 100 Mile. Second, the highway is not being closed between 100 Mile and 70 Mile House. It is quite open as the flank of the fire is very quiet on that side, and we've had patrols going on up and down that east flank for the better part of 4 or 5 days now. And probably the largest piece that I really want to stress to people is if somebody approaches you when you're in an evacuation order and alert area and asking if your house or your property has sustained any damage and asking for personal information, those individuals are not acting on behalf of an official governing body. So please do not provide your personal information to them. I would just note down whatever you can and follow up with your local police detachment. We don't need anybody getting taken advantage of in an already heightened, stressful situation. And I think that's all I've got from the Northeast Complex for today. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Nicole. My name is Madison Smith, and I'm the Fire Information Officer at the Caribou Fire Center. Today, I'll provide a little bit of an update what I have here on the Young Lake Wildfire, which is 35 kilometers southeast of 70 Mile House. This fire is estimated at 6,937 hectares in size and is still out of control. Yesterday, there was an increase in the fire activity in the afternoon due to the warmer temperatures and the winds on site. Due to this activity, there was a small spot that did cross the containment line, but we did have ground personnel action it immediately, and they got it wrapped up and put away. So it's no concern at this time. The heavy equipment on site is continuing to work down the Joe Ross FSR. I believe it's also called the 3700 road, until they meet up with the equipment from the Sparks Lake wildfire. Crews are continuing with their mop-up operations along the east and southeast flanks. And that is where there was some planned ignitions that took place last week. So our crews are just making sure that that side of the fire is right to the containment lines and there's no concern. We do have helicopters on site that are helping to cool the fire. And I believe that's all I have for Young Lake today. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Is there any other comments from BC Wildfire? We have a question here in the chat with regards to Luke's last name, as well as the Tremont Creek How far is Tremont Creek from Highway 97 or 97C at this point? I'm wondering if there's an update we can get from Tremont Creek.
Yeah,
From BC.
so easy one to answer the first one. Or last name's Robinson. The Tremont Creek. So the fire did burn down to the Highway 97C at Ashcroft about a week ago, I believe. So prior to the Australian IMT taking over. At this point in time, there's no active fire edge. I would like to say within QE of the 97C, and we're looking, greater than 20 kilometres from the 97C. Any active fire at this point in time, with the exception of I think Logan Lake, it comes down to about 15 kilometres. So there's no active fire and fire front or anything like that anywhere close to the 97C at this point in time.
Great, thank you. Is there any other questions for BC Wildfire before we let them get back to their busy day here? If there is, please put them in the chat. Okay, doesn't look like we're getting any other questions, so thank you so much, BC Wildfire. We'll let you go and hopefully speak to you in the next few days at our next public information meeting. So we're just going to get started here with the Thompson-Nicola Regional Districts update. I do have some updates. There has been some changes in regards to alerts and orders over the last few days. So I will just share my screen so that everyone can reference what I'm speaking about. As a reminder, you also have the availability to reference the dashboard that I'm showing you here today. You may or may not be frozen. Lots of technical issues today. Okay, we'll try this again. All right, so again, to reference this dashboard that I have up today, please go onto our TNRD website to emergency services, drop down emergency services, and you can reference the dashboard through the evacuation dashboard. So over the last, I guess 24 hours we've had some changes. So we did have Westwood, an evacuation order in place with regard to the White Rock Lake Fire, Wildfire. Westwood did receive order. So if you're wondering about exactly where that is, you can reference that through our evacuation dashboard. As a reminder, you're also able to search an address specifically if you're looking for your address on what the status is there. With regards to Sparks Lake, we have had a downgrade for 20 properties in the Sparks Lake wildfire area, as well as 60 properties in that for that fire also remain on order. So right now we actually have a total of 23 orders, 38 alerts, 808 properties are impacted via our orders, as well as 2,312 properties on alert. So 21% of the Thompson-Nicola Regional District right now is impacted with regards to BC wildfires at this time. So it's definitely a busy season so far. Those are the two fires that we've had the most updates with regards to the last few 24 hours. So again, what I would suggest in order to have the most up-to-date information is reference our evacuation dashboard, sign up for our press releases, reference our Facebook and Twitter pages, as well as our Avoid Alert system. And so that is the update for right now. Again, we hold these meetings every few days in order to provide updates to the public. They're recorded and they're posted on our Thompson-Nicola Regional District webpage, as well as any contact information that you'd be looking for with regards to BC Wildfire. I have a question here from Young Lake with regards to when we'll be moving or making any changes to the Young Lake orders. So we are currently right now at this very moment in some phases with regards to changing some orders and alerts. So that should be coming out in the next few hours. So please, again, referencing our Facebook page, our Twitter, sign up for our press releases, our Voyant alert system. As well as any way you collect information with regards to your alerts and orders, as right now we are looking at what the order looks like and taking recommendations from BC Wildfire in order to make changes. So that's what I would suggest for the residents of Young Lake. Stay tuned. In the next few hours, you should get an update. We also have an EOC line if you're looking for information or wanting to speak with someone for Emergency Operations Center in an area. So local governments, in our regard, the Thompson-Nicola Regional District does make that decision. And we take all fire evacuation alerts or orders based off recommendations, also rescindants based off recommendations from BC Wildfire regarding fire behavior in interface areas. So this is definitely heavily reliant on that communication channel. Local governments work with BC Wildfire to make decisions about evacuation alerts or orders. So the decision is based off of fire behavior reported from BC Wildfire. We get a lot of questions with regards to when the order will be lifted. So I really want to stress that orders are made in place where it's safe, where it's not safe based off the current events and forecasted fire behavior. So there's a lot of people as well as structures and just overall risk being in an evacuation order. So please know that we're working very hard to ensure we're providing you as much information as possible, especially from BC Wildfire. And when the orders are in place, it does have risk to safety of the public, but also with regards to our personnel on the ground with BC Wildfire. So many fires across our Kamloops Fire Center, as well as the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, remain active, and the situation changes hourly. 21% of the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. So right now we're reporting out on only Thompson-Nicola Regional District. That was a question in the chat. Did you say 21% of the province or 29% of the TNRD impacted? And we're talking only about the Thompson-Nicola Regional District today. So what can a BC Wildfire Information Officer tell you about? So I'm going to just speak on behalf of the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. And when we're referencing when to contact a BC Wildfire Officer, they can speak to you about and are the best sources of information with regards to about the wildfire aspect of the situation. So the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, we're not able to comment on the behaviors of the wildfire or the fire in that area. However, the BC Wildfire Officer is, and that's why we have them on and we have a joint conversation here on behalf of both parties and both agencies, as well as other agencies when they're available to join. How do I get a permit to get into an evacuated area? That's also a question we get. So people should not be in an evacuated area. Evacuation orders remain in areas where, again, for current and forecasted fire behaviors make it unsafe. The BC Wildfire does not have authorization to grant access to those orders or areas. If you want a permit to enter, you can contact the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. There is criteria for that. So again, if your evacuation area, if your area is on evacuation order, please contact the Thompson-Nicola Regional District if you're interested in entering the area. However, there is criteria in order to receive that permit. So if an area is on evacuation order, there's a reason for it. It's a not safe area, and that's why we really highly suggest you do not stay in evacuation order area. Okay, so now that's out of the way. I do want to draw your attention to our Resiliency Center. Our center is open from 8:30 to 4:30 on a daily basis now. It's located at 700 Tranquille Road at North Hills Mall in Kamloops. This service the intent of it is to provide information with for evacuees or people looking to look into information with regards to insurance or cleanup. Anything wildfire resiliency related. So I really highly suggest you check that out. We have it posted on our Thompson-Nicola Regional District website under the 2021 wildfires. I want to also state visiting our, I'll say this over and over, but the best channels for information is our website, our Twitter, our Facebook, signing up for Voyant Alert, as well as just keeping up to date on those channels that you are most familiar with, signing up for our press release on our website. A reminder to use your interactive dashboard in order to research any addresses that you're wondering if they're on alert or evacuation order. As well as using that to keep up to date on what area is on evacuation alert or order, as it's the same dashboard that we at the TNRD reference as well. So it's definitely the best source of information with regards to evacuation orders and alerts and all clears in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. Reminder for road closures, referencing Drive BC is your best source of information on whether you can travel highways or roads or not. So I highly suggest going onto the Drive BC website and referencing that. And further information will continue to be provided on those channels that I will reference as much as I can. So that's really our update today from the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. If there's any questions, please pop them in the chat. If not, we'll be holding another public information meeting in the coming days. We'll ensure our audio works right out of the gate. Gotta love a good technical issue. We do have our public information question page posted on our website. So if you have any specific questions you'd like us to speak to or contact you about, please enter your questions onto that page. So I want to thank you all again for attending today. It'll be posted on our YouTube as well as posted out within our Facebook channels and social channels. So have a great and safe afternoon.